We're kicking off with Shawn Spears, who yesterday announced that he would be finishing his time with AEW, bringing to an end a nearly 5-year run with the company. In a heartfelt tweet, Spears credited AEW for giving him a fantastic 5 years of growth and personal development, and added that this decision is a personal choice and is best for him and his family. In a follow-up tweet, Spears made sure to share what he said was his most important message, and that was to the incredible fans of all professional wrestling that he loves them. Spears played a notable role in AEW's early stages, notably feuding with Cody Rhodes over being called a good hand, which he took as an insult given his Perfect 10 persona. After the Pinnacle's decline, Spears lacked a clear direction and had limited appearances on AEW television, with his last wrestling match being at AEW All Out 0 Hour. Spears' last match on TV was back in July at AEW Battle of the Belts, and we'll have to see what's next for him now that his AEW run is coming to an end. Spears is just the latest name to leave AEW, as the company has seen several notable exits in 2023, both from talent and those behind the scenes. From QT Marshall to Jade Cargill, Lexis King to Rafael Morphy, several exits have happened in 2023, and Tony Khan isn't going to pretend nothing's changed. Speaking on the AEW World's End media call, Khan was asked about the exits of Marshall, Morphy, and Dana Massey, and expressed gratitude for their contributions to the promotion. While acknowledging the challenges of their departures, Khan emphasized that AEW is in a growth phase, and he is enthusiastic about the company's future. Khan also mentioned exploring new hires, especially with contracts often expiring in December, and teased upcoming developments and announcements at the World's End event. We'll have to see if Khan does introduce anybody new at tomorrow night's event, but clearly AEW is set to be a very different company in 2024, at least behind the scenes. Earlier this week, Goldberg went ballistic at Vince McMahon, calling the WWE chairman a piece of shit for not giving him a retirement match that was allegedly promised. After putting Roman Reigns over in February 2022, Goldberg wouldn't compete for WWE until his contract expired that December, and WWE opted not to renew his deal. Sources within WWE who spoke to Ringside News said that there is no talk of Goldberg making a comeback and that his name isn't brought up in any conversations. For now, Goldberg will continue to be on the hunt for his retirement match, and while it may still happen one day, don't expect said match to take place in a WWE ring. In September, Matt Riddle was released from WWE and was one of the biggest names cut at the time, ending his 5-year tenure with the promotion. With his non-compete clause now expired, Riddle has been announced for several upcoming events and is signed with MLW, but recently had a serious health scare. On social media, the former US champion gave an update on his health and said, "What's up everyone? Just a little life update. If you haven't heard from me, I was pretty sick. My girl was pretty sick, my one child had an appendix issue and had to get emergency surgery, and then my girlfriend had an issue, needed to get emergency surgery as well. Plus, I had a baby, so I've been a little busy. So if I haven't returned a phone call or a message in the last week or two, I still like you, just been really busy lately. Alright, just want to share that with everyone, and hit me up if you really need something. Alright, thank you. Love everyone. Happy holidays. Bye-bye." Hopefully Riddle and his family can move past these health issues, especially as Matt will have his MLW return match next week on January 6th against Jacob Fatu. Riddle was one of the biggest names released from WWE in September and is quickly finding his footing outside the promotion, and we're wishing him and his family the best at this time. During the recent US Championship Contenders Tournament, Carmelo Hayes proved himself in front of a main roster crowd, but this isn't the first time we've seen him on SmackDown. During a July episode of The Blue Brand, Hayes, alongside Trick Williams, appeared in a backstage segment with Bobby Lashley, leading some to speculate about a call-up. Some even suggested that Melo could be set to join Lashley's faction, and when speaking to Vibe, the former NXT champion wasn't against the idea, saying, "Shoot, that'd be cool. Right now I'm so focused on what I got going here in NXT, it's gonna take a lot more than just showing up and dapping me up to get me over there. I'm not thirsty for any membership. If they want me, they can holler at me and we can talk business. Respect to them though, because they're my brothers for real." Many have been predicting a call-up for Carmelo Hayes for some time, with the gist being that he's done all he needs to do as part of NXT. When the mystery of who attacked Trick is solved, expect Hayes to be called up soon enough, and do you think he'd be a fit in Lashley's faction? Let us know down in the comments. On this week's Dynamite, Sammy Guevara returned and parted ways with the Don Callis family, and a beatdown on Guevara by the heels saw Chris Jericho intervene. Darby Allin and Sting would then join Guevara and Jericho, and this has led to a change in plans for tomorrow's World's End event. Rather than the planned tag title match pitting Big Bill and Ricky Starks against Jericho and Kenny Omega, fans will see an 8-man tag with Jericho, Guevara, Sting, and Allin on one side. They'll be facing Ricky Starks, Big Bill, Will Hobbs, and Konosuke Takeshita, and with Omega still out recovering from diverticulitis, it's not hard to see why this change was made. Now this week marked 3 years since the sad passing of Brodie Lee, and since then, AEW has made sure that the legacy of the former TNT champion isn't forgotten. In commemoration of his anniversary, Tony Khan brought -1 to the ring after the Rampage taping following the live Dynamite in Orlando, Florida. In the ring, which also had Orange Cassidy, Top Flight, and Mark Briscoe, Brodie Jr. spoke to the fans, and Khan also spoke about the show and about Brodie Lee. Brodie Lee Jr. has been seen on AEW television many times and reportedly has a contract waiting for him down the road, but he won't be able to sign until he's 18 years old. More from AEW, as the company has seen declining ratings in recent years, and you may have noticed that Tony Khan no longer brags about shows getting over 1 million views. Unfortunately for Khan, many fans feel apathetic about the product right now, but the AEW president doesn't see this as an issue solely for AEW. On the World's End media call, Khan was asked about the ratings being down year over year and said that Dynamite is down 10% and Monday Night Raw is down by 8%. Khan said that these falls are simple general cable trends, and it's a unique move to use WWE's flagship show to try and defend your own falling ratings. Tony Khan was also asked about the Deville storyline and whether it was inspired by the infamous Black Scorpion, and hinted that there will be revelations during tomorrow's pay-per-view. Khan expressed excitement over AEW's recent developments and emphasized the storyline's episodic nature before being asked about AEW's relationship with Warner Bros. Discovery. Asked if there's backup plans in case of a non-extension, Khan stressed on the strong relationship with WBD, noting the upcoming 5-year anniversary, and anticipated working with WBD in 2024. Khan had to limit his comments due to their current exclusive agreement, but hinted at discussions regarding AEW's TV rings and added that there have been interest from other parties about ROH. Khan added that there would likely be many potential suitors for AEW, with more clarity in 2024, and said it would take a substantial offer for him to consider leaving the exceptional experience with WBD. Dominic D'Angelo inquired about Tony Khan's booking strategy for 2024 and whether he's expanded his booking team, and the AEW head acknowledged his excellent team. That team includes Bryan Danielson, Mike Manzarek, Will Washington, Jimmy Jacobs, Sarah Stock, Dean Malenko, and others who were actively involved in the creative process. Khan added that he had a hands-on approach initially, but said AEW has been on an extraordinary run of successful shows, thanks in part to the character-driven programming. Khan mentioned the Deville storyline and Tony Storm as examples of said programming, and compared the Riho storyline and the movie Kill Bill. He added that the focus on women's wrestling was a deliberate choice, and that everyone in that division had been stepping up their game despite the challenges posed by injuries. Thunder Rosa's recent return thrilled Khan, who stated that the women's division quality has elevated significantly, and said that experiments have been yielding positive results. When asked about Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee, Khan said the timing of their match at World's End was intentional and part of the strategic planning. He mentioned that they've been working to build most men as significant talents and was satisfied with Strickland's rapid ascent in the company. Khan noted that Keith Lee has experienced a resurgence with a series of excellent matches in recent times and called Lee's work a notable part of the success of AEW Collision. He also highlighted the fact that Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee had formed a great tag team and had been involved in some of his favorite matches. Regarding their upcoming match, Khan saw it as something he had been holding in reserve for the right moment and believes World's End is the ideal time for the match. Khan wouldn't change a thing about Swerve's trajectory and said that this upcoming match, the first singles encounter between Swerve and Lee, has been one he's wanted to see for a long time. Tony Khan had plenty to say on the World's End media call, and after all this talk, we'll have to see if the show delivers tomorrow night in Long Island, New York. In September, Mansoor was one of the many names released from WWE after a unique run for the first Saudi Arabian-born superstar. At Super Showdown in Saudi Arabia, Mansoor won a 51-man battle royal, and while speaking to Denise Salcido of Instinct Culture, he shared that he had heat with the boys. He said, "When you're on the indies and you're taught whenever you go to a show, shake everybody's hand, introduce yourself, that's the right thing to do. So get this, I go to NXT and I show up at my first NXT show and I'm shaking everybody's hands, and who of all people, Mace, pulls me aside and says, "We don't do that here, okay? That's an indie thing, alright? You don't have to do that. These are all your co-workers. We get it." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I ended up going to the Saudi show being like, I'm not gonna bother anybody, I'm not gonna shake anybody's hand. Huge mistake, huge mistake. Who pulls me aside but my future wrestling dad, Mustafa Ali. He said, "Hey brother, I'm looking out for you because you and me, we're brothers. You got major heat. You got major heat because not only did you not say hi to everybody, you're winning the damn battle royal that everybody got dragged over here for, and you're not being gracious about it." And I was like, oh, I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God. Despite this rocky start, Mansoor would eventually fit in with the WWE roster, and his role as part of the Maximum Male Models would prove popular with fans. In the interview, Mansoor disclosed his reaction to Triple H taking over creative. He claimed it was tough because he and his partner Mace had no relationship with the game. When I found out that, Triple H was going to be head of creative, I was like, it's tough because we didn't really have a relationship with Triple H professionally because we weren't on NXT. With his non-compete up, Mansoor and Mace have already been making appearances on the independent scene, and Mansoor will never forget the rules of handshake etiquette. For decades, WWE fans have been able to collect their favorite events and documentaries in a physical copy, with WWE home video spanning from VHS to DVD and later Blu-ray. Earlier this year, though, it was revealed that WWE would be ending its release of physical media so they can focus purely on digital content and streaming, and now an era has officially ended. This week, WWE Survivor Series 2023 was released on DVD, marking the final ever WWE event to be released physically and what has been a blow to collectors. WWE's last ever DVD ends with the return of CM Punk, who once swore to never go back to WWE. And what do you make of the end of home video? Let us know down below. It was in 2021 that Zelina Vega was brought back to WWE after her controversial release the prior year, and now the Queen's Crown winner and former tag team champion is here to stay. PW Insider reports that Zelina Vega has reached an agreement with WWE and inked a new multi-year deal with the company, so expect to see more of the LWO star for a long time to come. It was in 2014 that a series of injuries, including concussions, cut Corey Graves' wrestling career short, and since then, he's become a commentator who's worked on all three brands. In 2021, Graves briefly captured the 24/7 championship, raising speculation about his health, and it was reported that he'd actually been cleared to wrestle and get physical in 2020. Speaking on Steelers Takeaways, Graves was asked about his career and said that while he's not planning on a full comeback, a one-off match could be in the cards. "I have a clean bill of health now, thanks. I actually got medically cleared a couple of years ago to perform in the ring again. I flirted with the idea and I'm waiting for a potential opportunity if it presents itself. More of a one-time thing like Pat McAfee's done, not as a full-time in-ring performer." It's worth stating that Graves has previously said he never plans on wrestling again, so this new take is much different. And would you like to see a match from Graves? Sound off in the comments. Earlier this month, it was reported that Slim Jim's custom Nissan Z car had been stolen, and despite speculation that this was a promotional ploy, it turned out to be a very real incident. LA Knight, the winner of the Slim Jim sponsored Battle Royal at SummerSlam, arrived to the Fastlane event in the car, which has been featured in commercials for the meat snack featuring WWE stars. In an update, CBS News is reporting that the car stolen in California was found thousands of miles away in West suburban Hillside, but there's no word on the thief. It was later confirmed by the Slim Jim Twitter that the car had been found, and with an estimated value of $115,000, it's a good thing that the custom vehicle was located. Hopefully this will be the last time the Slim Jim car is stolen, as we'll keep following this situation for any further updates about the thief. With no contract to her name, many fans are predicting that Mercedes Mone could soon be returning to WWE, and on social media, Mone has been happy to fuel that speculation. On Instagram this week, Mone shared a selfie outside Boston's TD Garden, where WWE hosted their December 27th live event. Mercedes also shared a sketch of some new ring gear for herself, implying that she could be back in the ring soon, but gave no clue as to where it'll be. The ring gear does have the phrase CEO on the front, which is what Mone has called herself outside of WWE, but will we see the boss Sasha Banks return soon enough? Let us know your thoughts below. In February, Sonya Deville was arrested and charged with unlawful possession of a firearm after a valet in New Jersey found a gun in her vehicle. While Deville has a permit for the gun in Florida, it was not valid in New Jersey, but now there's been a positive update in the case against the WWE superstar. According to records from the Atlantic County prosecutor obtained by the Courier-Post, Deville has resolved the charge by completing 6 months in a pre-trial intervention program. At the time of the arrest, it was said that there was no heat on Deville in WWE, as after the 2020 attempted kidnapping, WWE recognizes why she'd want to protect herself wherever she went. Deville is out of action right now and is expected to return at some point in 2024, and we're pleased that she can put this matter behind her and focus on healing up. If you've seen the Iron Claw, you may not have noticed MJF as Lance Von Erich, as his role was significantly cut from what was originally planned. Speaking to Sportskeeda's Unscripted podcast, Bill Apter suggested that cutting MJF's role may have been down to AEW and said that something legally with the promotion may be the reason. Whatever the reason may be, hopefully we get to see MJF's deleted scenes one day, but for now, MJF is focused on his AEW World title match with Samoa Joe tomorrow night. This week, WWE hosted a show in the Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, Michigan, and Grayson Waller was honored to be competing in the home of the Detroit Pistons. When we say honored, Waller explained in a video that he was humbled to be in the arena of the NBA team with the most losses in a row, before adding that this place sucks. In a tweet, Waller called Detroit the dregs of the US, which earned a response by Michigan State Senator Dane Polhanke, who called Waller a jabroni. Speaking to Detroit News, Polhanke said that she had to clap back on behalf of her state, and seemingly preparing for a match with Waller noted that she's scrappy. Ironically, Waller himself would lose in the arena, as he'd come up short against Butch, but it's clear that the Aussie can rile up people other than just WWE superstars and fans. It was only a few months back that Ric Flair made his debut for AEW as the special gift of Tony Khan to Sting, ahead of the Icon's retirement next year. Sting will compete for the final time in March 2024 at AEW Revolution, but what does that mean for the Nature Boy and his future in AEW? Speaking to the Wrestling Classic, Flair was asked about potentially leaving AEW when Sting retires and said, "I've known Tony for a long time, we've been great friends, and the opportunity just presented itself probably because of Sting, but I'll be there a couple of years after Sting's gone too. I don't know what it leads to. I'd like to manage my son-in-law. Obviously, I want to be a heel again somewhere. My health is good, I can get into the ring. Not to wrestle, let's clarify that, I just really enjoy it. Tony's a great guy, and it's a great atmosphere. When I walked into the dressing room first, I didn't realize how many guys from WWE are over there now. They got a tremendous crew. They have as much talent in AEW as they do in WWE." Flair may have been a gift for Sting, but he'll be around long after the Icon's last match, as Tony Khan is ready to use the Nature Boy in other ways in his company. Now, Tony Khan has a lot of plans for AEW in 2024 and is excited for what's to come, but with that said, a new comparison may not paint them in the greatest light. It's no secret that AEW has cooled off considerably since their exciting 2019 launch, with ticket sales being down across the board, and now Eric Bischoff himself has weighed in. On his 83 Weeks podcast, Bischoff suggested that other than AEW not filming on a soundstage, the company is very similar to the old TNA wrestling during that company's early days. He said, "AEW has made a commitment to producing shows in front of live audiences. That's becoming more of a challenge as time goes on. That being said, they're not producing their show on a soundstage. Other than that, they're just like TNA. Overhyped, underdeliver, tons of former WWE talent who cycled out of the system and established predominantly in the TNA product of AEW. The only difference, to his credit, is that Tony is committed to putting on a show in front of a live crowd." It's interesting that Bischoff is comparing AEW to TNA as, while that company has been through rough times, there's a ton of buzz for the relaunch that'll happen at Hard to Kill next month. Ultimately, Tony Khan will run AEW how he sees fit, but do you agree that AEW is being overhyped and under-delivering? Let us know in the comments below. Last month, McKenzie Mitchell was released from WWE, which came as a surprise to many, including Shawn Michaels, and fans have been left wondering what's next for her. During an appearance on the Insight podcast recently, Mitchell was asked about a possible return to TNA, where she worked as a correspondent for years prior to WWE. Mitchell described a potential TNA return as a homecoming, as she was there for 4 years, but stopped short of saying she is planning on it, instead stating, "We'll see." Impact is doing a lot of big moves ahead of their relaunch as TNA next month, and will the new era of TNA wrestling involve McKenzie Mitchell? Time will tell.